Hello and welcome to ThePrint. I am here in Pulivendra, Andhra Pradesh, Chief Minister Jagan Mohan Reddy's constituency, and I'm joined by Bhargava Sajala, the YSRCP social media coordinator, for a behind-the-scenes look at how an election is run. Thank you for joining us, Bhargava.
Thank you so much, Vandana. Pleasure to speak with you.
So, first things first, the YSRCP has done something super interesting. You've announced star campaigners. All 12 of them are common people.
Yes.
Do you want to tell me a little bit more about that? What is the logic behind it?
Absolutely. I think it's the first time in the country where a government and the Chief Minister are so confident about the good that this government has done for the common people that we don't feel the need to get in well-known names, say cinema actors, etc., to come and campaign for us. We see that our biggest strength is the people who benefited from this government, the policy, and the execution of that policy more importantly. And we believe that no one can represent this party, its policies, the new manifesto and our governance better than someone whose lives have completely transformed because of our reformative governance and that of the Chief Ministers.
So all 12 of them, they're quite interesting. Some of them are auto drivers, some of them are homemakers. How did you kind of find them? Was it an exhaustive process, or have you always been in touch with them?
No, it definitely was an exhaustive process. Given that we are a government that's constantly in touch with lives, and by this I don't mean at a macro level, but at the very granular level where each of the beneficiaries of our schemes are in continuous contact with the government, given our revolutionary volunteer system. It's almost as if through the volunteer who's seen as a direct representative of the Chief Minister himself for the past 5 years. I think it was late 2019 when this system was put in place. There's 2.5 lakh representatives of the Chief Minister who directly speak to clusters, 2.5 lakh clusters of household, each cluster being about 50 households.
Right.
So there's been constant touch, constant contact. And throughout this entire process, we've seen people who truly have and truly believe what this government can do and what the Chief Minister can do. And given that there is a limit on the number of star campaigners that a party can have, as per rule, we could only accommodate 12.
Right.
If not, I am confident, and I'm not exaggerating here, that a few crore people will probably be our star campaigners, and they still are.
And what kind of role do these 12 have?
The exact same role that you expect a star campaigner to have. They're actually going to travel across the state. They're going to be up on stage with our candidates, and where applicable, we're at with the Chief Minister himself, and they're going to talk about our governance. They're going to talk about the confidence they have in this party, in the Chief Minister as their leader for the next 5 years as well.
I mean, to the outside eye, this looks like a really no-holds-barred kind of election. All knives are out. There's a lot of memes, there's a lot of deep fakes, there's plenty of misinformation. Do you want to tell me a little bit more about how you're handling that?
I'll be honest with you here. In the beginning, when there was this sudden onslaught of a lot of lies, a lot of misinformation, a lot of terrible personal attacks on the leaders within the party, the Chief Minister included, and on the women as well who are associated with this party, we were of course taken aback. We felt, possibly for a minute, no longer than a minute, that we need to counter this, we need to take it into the people and the voters that this is misinformation. But in a lot of ways, like the cliche, I think the opposition parties have dug their own grave, they've built their own coffin, and now they're hammering the last nail in their coffin. You go to any of the opposition parties' official handles, I'm not talking about their campaign pages, I'm not talking about their individuals, I'm talking about their official pages alone. It's filled with trash like this. It's filled with terrible, incredibly, depraved attacks on the Chief Minister, on the Chief Minister's family. Almost as if, today I can tell you with confidence that they don't respect the constitutional position and the power that the Chief Minister has over the state. They simply see him as Jagan Mohan Reddy with envy, with jealousy, with insecurity, because he's done what none of them could do. And he, in a lot of ways, is showing a confidence, a grit, a determination, and an inner strength, which is very quiet. I mean, you must have seen a lot of his interactions with the people. There's never any sort of jittery demeanor. He's never wavered. He's unwavering in his strength. And none of the opposition leaders are like that. More than anything else, the point I'd like to make is, if that were the case, Chandrababu Naidu Garu, who's heading the TDP, claims that he is, of course, the age of Jagan Mohan Reddy Garu's father. He was a contemporary of Dr. YSR. He's been in power for about 14 years, 2 full terms and 1 less than a full term, because he essentially backstabbed his father-in-law, who was leading this party, who was the Chief Minister then, and in unlawful ways took over the party and took over the government back in the day. And even today, he has nothing to his claim but one high-tech city in Hyderabad, which was constructed 20 plus years back, if I'm not wrong, or even before that. And when a man who's the age of his child comes in, sets up a political party, prior to that, locks horns with the likes of a Sonia Gandhi and the Indian National Congress, which was in power in the center back then, sets up his own party, then survives through 5 years in the opposition with the same Chandrababu Naidu as the chief minister of the state, who did nothing but made false promises, didn't fulfill one. And then he comes to power with a historic mandate and does good on each and every promise that he's made, and has the strength and the determination to clearly tell the people that I've only fulfilled 99% of your promises, I haven't fulfilled 100%, there's still a 1% that I couldn't do, that I will try to fulfill in my next term. How do you then take on a person like that? All of you come together, although ideologically you're off. There's a BJP, there's a TDP, there's a Janasena, there's the Congress in the Andhra Pradesh, which is working behind the scenes with the TDP. 100%. You can quote me on this. They all come together. It's a Frankenstein, if you ask me. They've stitched this together.
I want to go back. I mean, that's the thing with social media as well, right? Frankenstein's monster, kind of something that goes out of control. I want to go back and ask, what kinds of checks and balances do you have to make sure that the kind of information that you're putting out there isn't misinformation or is accurate?
We've never lied. We've never had the need to lie. And this goes back to when Sakshi as a publication was set up. The Chief Minister's wife, Bharati Garu, very aptly said in a meeting or an interview, I think a few days back, that back in 2007-2008, when Sakshi as a newspaper was set up, there was Eenadu, which was protecting and covering only one side of the story. Sakshi came in to cover the rest. So Sakshi wasn't for propaganda. Sakshi wasn't for anything else. Today, if you say that media is polarized, 100% media is polarized. Why is the media polarized? I don't think that has to do with loyalties to a particular party or who the ownership is with. It has to do with the fact that Chandrababu Naidu, even before a central level party could do it, brought in and introduced this absolutely horrific, monstrous system of manipulating the media using money. So typically when one doesn't ally with the TDP, then one is essentially covering the other side of the story. And although when we are in power, when we have a nemesis like the TDP, and they've made us our nemesis. Jagan Mohan Reddy Garu from day one has been very respectful of the fact that the TDP is the party in opposition and Chandrababu Naidu Garu is the leader of the opposition. They've decided that we are their nemesis, and it's not just social media, honestly. It's their media as well. It's their satellite media, it's their print media that carries absolute lies on a day in, day out basis, and where we're losing space and bandwidth just to keep countering them and doing fact checks on them. Our entire communication strategy as a party essentially is derived from that, because that was the communication strategy and the principles and the ethics that our leader set in 2006 or 7, one of those years. So even in terms of how the party handles communication, if we were like the TDP and like the opposition, that I think would take a lot of effort, because you'd have to imagine, you'd have to create nonsensical scenarios in your head, and you'd then have to translate them into action, be it on media, electronic print or social media. We simply tell the world what the Chief Minister has done. We report. And at times when it goes completely out of hand is when we take a very dignified stance in saying that what you're saying is a lie. But beyond that, we've never done anything. Even if we were to even have the thought of indulging in the same sort of unethical means that the opposition uses, our leader would put a stop to it.
No, but even if it doesn't go out on official handles, there is a lot of trash talk that does happen on social media. There's a lot of back and forth. How do you handle that? What are the kinds of marching orders you have for your team or for people?
We can't really, because these aren't employees. Individuals who are very clear that their loyalties lie with the Chief Minister, with the YSR Congress Party, who admire the Chief Minister a great amount, aren't working for money, aren't employees to anybody. They're individuals who are putting their opinions out there. The only difference being, we don't condone these individuals. We tell them that this is not right, but how they want to heed our advice is up to them entirely. The TDP, on the other hand, the exact same individuals who put up absolute harassment and abuse on social media, where they morph pornographic images of our own leaders, where they verbally abuse the Chief Minister and the Chief Minister's family and all of us associated with this party. These exact same handles are followed by a Chandrababu Naidu and a Lokesh. My only question then is, do you condone this? Do you support them? Because I don't follow any such handles that are doling out abuse from our party. They're individuals. I mean, it's a political party that's in power. Understandably, we have lakhs, if not crores of people who are with us. And each comes with a different set of filters. And everybody can't be the same, neither can you control everybody because they answer nobody. They're not paying them anything. They're not associated with an organized part of the party as an employee would. But we don't follow any of them, but they do. And a lot of times when someone has been proven to dole out such absolute harassment and abuse, Chandrababu Naidu himself has met them. He's given them positions within the party. So my question then is, who's doing what?
So you're saying that kind of legitimizes the trolling?
It legitimizes their trolling, not us. We don't. What we troll, like I said again and again, I'm saying this. It's done. Possibly a few individuals do it, and neither I nor the leadership in the party have any control over such individuals. What they're doing is completely, and if the TDP or any of them feel that it's wrong, then they're free to go and approach. We have a cybercrime wing under the CI, under the law enforcement of the state. They can approach them, they can file a complaint, and we won't protect them. On the other hand, again and again, at the cost of repeating myself, I say this. You must have followed the recent suicide of this lady called Geetanjali in Tenali. And this only happened because she didn't say a single word against the opposition or about the opposition leaders. There's nothing wrong. She spoke in front of a camera with a great amount of exuberance and happiness. She expressed that all her dreams have been fulfilled in Jagan Mohan Reddy Garu's regime. She got her own house. Every single individual in her family, including her mother-in-law, her father-in-law, her husband and her children, have been getting all the benefits that this government has been giving to the middle class, lower middle class and the poor. And she expressed a tremendous amount of happiness and gratitude to the Chief Minister. The abuse was so inhuman and so unimaginable that she decided to kill herself by throwing herself against a train, no less. When that happened, when the body of that woman was brought to her house and when her children, who were only 6 and 8 years old, were standing there wailing, the TDP and people for the TDP raised questions saying, is she even dead or is this a drama? They claim and make nonsensical allegations from a dead woman that I personally have trained her, that I've paid her money, that she was seen in and around my office. Not once did their leadership nor their official handles express an iota of remorse that she was seen in and around my office. Not once did their leadership nor their official handles express an iota of remorse that an innocent life was lost. And we believe that in times like this, politics doesn't matter. Your ideology doesn't matter. This is the time when everybody comes together and clearly sends a strong message out to society that actions like this are unacceptable and one mustn't make them. Except TDP started doing this. They started abusing her, saying that she took money and did this. And they made nonsensical allegations that I had people go and push her in front of the train.
Yeah, it's a really tragic case of how
and it's
the real
reflective,
life...
and it's reflective of how the TDP and the Janasena work.
It's a really tragic example of the real life impact of social media harassment. I mean, that's the thing with social media, right? As accessible as it makes politics and as easy as it is to kind of disseminate information on social media, it's also letting out a genie. It's like letting a genie out of a bottle.
But I reiterate again, if you give me a few seconds, that the point I'd like to make here is, of course, the unfortunate death of Geetanjali. But the point I'd like to make here is we don't believe this is suicide, this was murder. This was murder that was abetted by people in the TDP, in the Janasena party. And when two of these individuals who doled out such unthinkable abuse against us, saying that we know where you live, we know where the school your children go to, watch out. Instead of condemning the act, condemning these individuals, the TDP actually has a legal cell that work day and night to get them out of jail. It's for you to decide what you want to say about this, but I'm very clear what this says about them, their culture and what they do.
Well, on that note, thank you so much for joining us, Bhargav, and giving us an insight into exactly how tough and messy the social media battle can be here in Andhra Pradesh. Thanks so much for joining us. Any parting words?
Thank you so much, Vandana. I'd again like to say, I'd like to end on a positive note by saying that while we've addressed misinformation, we've addressed abuse, I would like to say that we clearly stand by what our leader has taught us in terms of the principles and ethics. If you look at our social media, we only talk about the good. We talk about the good this government has done. We talk about the good our Chief Minister has done. We talk about the journey that this party has been through in the last 10 years. And we talk about what the Chief Minister's vision for the state and his people is in the coming 10 years. And that's what we stand by. We would rather ignore the abuse they're doling out to us because we do not want to dignify that nonsense by responding to it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Pleasure talking to you, Vandana.